Sombra has gotten some pretty decent buffs recently, and she is finding her way back into ladder and also professional meta like she used to back in the Ana, Brig, Winston dive days. Now, is that the healthiest thing for the game? In my opinion, probably not. Now, Sombra is no stranger to rework. She's been reworked multiple times, and I think this most recent one was pretty good, decent. It had some good skill shot stuff. It had some good decision making. I really like the translocator change. But overall, I think the direction they've been bringing Sombra and making her more an assassin, focusing on that perma-invis, her never ever dying, I just really don't think that it is a great direction for this character. And I think it is very hard to balance this character with those things in the game. So this is going to be my mini rework idea for Sombra. This is the Unfixable series. I like to rework characters. This one, it's basically not changing any of her abilities outright. It's just changing how one particular one works. And of course, if you can guess, it's Invis. Now, what you guys are watching is my Sombra gameplay from this morning. I am terrible at Sombra. Please, I want you to point and laugh. It is absolutely horrific, and it is going to make me laugh while I am filming this. I just want you to know. So, okay, basically, what are the goals for this rework? Well, I want to encourage Sombra to have different styles of play. I also want her to bring back a little bit of that decision making, not the same type, but more decision making like she used to have in her previous versions. There was a lot of risk and reward kind of with it's less so risk, but it was like opportunity cost, right? If I translocate out now, if I get forced out early, I'm leaving a lot of value on the table. That is still here, but I wanted to bring that decision making into most of her abilities in her kit. I wanted there to be some sort of dynamic there for everything. And of course, I wanted to fundamentally change how invisibility worked and how it meshed with her kit. So before I start explaining that, I do want you to know, I did try to film this video live on stream, and in my opinion, I felt like I was just rambling, and I didn't really have everything kind of together, and it is a little bit complicated, so I'm refilming this. I'm just going to read you the bullet points I have that about invisibility, and then I am going to talk about them, why I made the changes, and what they actually do for Sombra. So, basically, with invisibility, it is still her passive, but anytime she goes invis, she will only be in it for 7 seconds, okay? She will only go into invis immediately after using an ability or her ult, okay? When she leaves, so remember, it has a time, right? So it's only up for a certain amount of time. If she leaves stealth in the first half of that time that she's allotted for it, it will actually power up her next ability in some way. For Virus, that will be increasing the tick rate. For Hack and EMP, it will shorten the cast time. And for Translocator, it will increase the distance. Now, I've changed a lot of those abilities, and trust me, it is not as scary as it sounds. In fact, it's probably going to be much more comparable to what they actually do on live. I'll get to those when we're done with Invis. Do not worry, it does not just make Sombra super scary, super unplayable against, I promise. And also, with all of that, the animation that you get when you are cloaking into stealth, the one where she kind of pulls the cloak out, we're going to remove the lockout from that. You're just going to be able to use all of your abilities. I think there's a tiny little ability lockout. We're just going to remove that just for gameplay flow's sake. So, basically, what does this do for Sombra? You may kind of be thinking to yourself, well, can't she always stay invis forever so long as she cycles her abilities properly? And in theory, yes, she could, but the idea here is that she is giving up something for being invis for a while, okay? So basically, you get an empowered version of your abilities if you use your ability in after being in stealth for only the first half of it, right? And you can cancel stealth with primary fire and kind of like store an ability charge so you're not like worthless at the beginning of a fight that you've set up, but at the beginning of the fight, you're not going to be set up in invis, so it's going to be riskier, right? You're going to be much more like a traditional flanker when they are trying to engage and get ready for fights. But basically, This encourages Sombra to have a much more active role and definitely try to increase her uptime because she is directly rewarded for not sitting invis and waiting for the perfect opportunity. I don't think that just waiting and trying to catch people out who don't know that you're there, I don't think that is fun. I don't think that's fun for anybody, in my opinion. The Sombra player, the person against them. So I wanted to bring some dynamics to Sombra to give her a lot more decision making. Now you are trying to min-max the amount of time that you're spent rotating and that you are invisible, while also trying to then figure out when are the best times to use your abilities, which ones are going to be the most beneficial in what scenario, and even if you should wait longer. Is it better for me to wait invis and have the lesser version of my ability, or should I try to rip it earlier? I think that creates a lot of dynamic decision making, and it's going to make Sombra a lot more interesting. Especially, it's going to make you feel a lot more active when you're in invis, you know? Like, you're going to see me just sit in invis for a while, just thinking, I'm looking. But imagine if Sombra was actively trying to manage a timer and trying to figure out where she's going to go. Now she can't just be anywhere at any time because she's going to be out of invis eventually. And she's also going to not get as much value from it anyways. So there's a lot on the table there, right? I think also what this does is this enables a lot more counterplay for if she does decide to be invisible, right? If she does decide to go for those squishy assassinations, she decides that she wants to just hound somebody down, there's a lot of downsides, right? There's going to be a longer hack time, so it's going to be way harder just to get a hack virus combo. And also I'm kind of nerfing virus damage in that regard, so that'd be harder too. But also, then it's a slower tick rate on her virus, so then maybe she's not going to be able to secure that kill as well as she might have before. And also, she's going to not be able to fly out as far with her translocator if she is caught out, you know, out of stealth or they find her and she hasn't used her ability yet. I think there's also an important thing to note here about how her abilities work, is that since they just instantly put you into stealth, if you're going to use an ability afterwards, it's going to instantly take you out of stealth. So basically, if you're going to use like ability like hack and virus instantly, you won't really actually go into stealth, but I don't want there to be any kind of hindrance to the gameplay feel, right? I want it to feel good. I want it to feel like it flows, like it does now, right? I don't want there to actually be some kind of like anywhere you have to stop using abilities. That's why some of those cloaking animations may need to be removed, because the invis is going to start on all abilities like it does when you translocate, right? It's just whatever was going on, she's just going to become invisible and she's not going to care. So I wanted to keep that gameplay flow. I think that just feels really good and it would make Sombra feel better. What this also does is that it encourages you to use your abilities one after another, right? Like, she's not going to be worthless when she decides to do a combo, right? In fact, it actually it doesn't like increase the reward for finding a hack like that, but there's more window of opportunity to get away from that value that she used to get, right? She still potentially can get that value. There's much more counterplay for the characters that really struggle against this character. So basically, TLDR is that you can be invisible for a while, but you are leaving a lot of damage and utility on the table, right? You are kind of playing a weaker version of yourself to play this kind of character, right? Also, greedier invises, if you get found out and you don't have your translocator, you're not going to be going as far to get away from people. So there's a lot of downsides, basically. That's what I wanted. I wanted a lot of downsides for being an invis for a while and also not even allowing you to be in it for a certain amount of time or for a long amount of time. But I still didn't want it to be like worthless, and that's where this kind of like ability buff came up, right? That encourages you not to be in stealth, but then just it always activating when you use an ability, right? Since you go in stealth every time you use an ability, then you still have some like, you know, merit. There's some real things that you can do as Sombra. So it moves her away from the assassination playstyle but it still kind of keeps it there. It just makes it really, really, really hard, right? It does not make it very effective, but it's still there. It's much more effective to try to be in the fight for longer and being more aggressive, because the more aggressive that you are, the more that you get your abilities at their best, right? So the one thing that I do want to talk about, or a couple of things, is that there are some minor changes made to some of her abilities for balance sake, particularly. When we talk about hack, let's just say, and this is something I want Sombra to have in any form or fashion. Anytime hack is interrupted, whether she be shot, whether she break LOS, anything like that, whether she stops it for whatever reason, it should go on cooldown. Hands down. I don't know why it's not like this to begin with. I think it's really frustrating when you think you've outplayed the Sombra, but she's like, I'm going to try again. You know what I mean? Especially for characters like when she's in the middle of a fight and you have to think about a lot of things at one time. You think about hack, you get the hack, you go sweet, you go on to the next thing, all of a sudden you're getting hacked again. It's just not fun. It just really isn't that interesting to play against Sombra that way. Also, for hack, this is going to go for EMP cast time as well. The shortened version, the one that is the good version that you want, that is actually, I think, should be a comparable speed to what it is on live. I really wanted, I know I'm framing it as like it's a buffed version, but I really wanted to disincentivize the hard stealth playstyle. So really, it makes the character worse in general, yes, or at least in that form, like the assassination form. But it doesn't make her that much better as like the frontline style. So when I do tell you about these changes, I'm definitely down for any other balance changes that make her, kind of playable. That's something that I'm totally down for. But I just know I'm not trying to murder Sombra. I think she could be a really fun character. She's just got a lot of growing pains with her, basically. So I'm not trying to murder this character, don't worry. Also for Virus, when you hack an enemy and you hit them with Virus, right now is when the damage over time would increase, right? On live. I don't want there to be another damage over time increase on top of that if you use the best version. So what we're actually going to do is that when you hack somebody with Virus, we're going to take some of that front-loaded damage, like the impact damage. I think we can just take that away and then just give her a little bit of a damage boost when they're hacked, right? So then that way you kind of get in the same fantasy of the ballpark, but you have like a 2-stage process to get that really high damage, right? So I think it is a nice compromise, and it keeps that same dynamic between hack and Virus. I think it's a nice solution. And the EMP I talked about, the cast time, it'd be like the same as it is now. And if you use the worst version, then it would be longer. Also, just side note, I feel like I have not seen an EMP get canceled in a very long time. I don't know if they increased or they shortened the cast time or something. I feel like that was like a legitimate thing that you could do in Overwatch 1. Maybe that's just because you had Brig stun. You always had Brig. But yeah, I don't know where that went. I would like to see that again. I think that's a really important ability that should be able to get, should be able to get interrupted. Like, yes, in theory it can, but in practice I just don't think it really can right now. It's a lot harder. But yeah, anyways, I think that. Also, while we're at it, EMP being a longer lockout window than regular hack, I think is just lame. I don't think it's very fun. It just doesn't make sense. Like, why would some hacks be longer than others? I think it should just be the same as regular hack. Now, since Sombra is getting a little worse, maybe increasing regular hack to just around 2 seconds, and then all hacks are 2 seconds, that might be a fine trade-off, because she's not going to be able to kill you as quickly because her abilities are typically not as good. I don't know. Again, I can't really test this, but that's kind of where my head is at there. So that's kind of it. I mean, I think this character is pretty much good to go. Oh, I guess translocator distance. I would say like the worst version is a little less than what it is now, but the better version is only a little more than what it is. I think it's a good distance. And making it super long would kind of be insane, because she would be able to just do like just Virus, pepper somebody down, and then throw a Hail Mary and just completely ignore the fight. So I wasn't exactly sold on that buff, but I wanted to buff all of them just because. So that's just kind of what I came up with. I'd like to hear what you guys think in the comments below. But basically, yeah, I do think that Sombra needs some help, and I think this is a little bit of a convoluted solution. Initially, I wanted it to scale with how long she was in stealth, how much power you got from it, but I think that was just really complicated. So I decided to just go with first half or second half. That's way easier to understand, way easier to probably balance around, to be honest. No complicated formulas or anything like that. So yeah, that's where this one came from. I'm sorry I forced you to watch this horrific Sombra gameplay, but it had to be done. I needed to get the footage for this. So I kind of want to hear what you think. What do you think about this? Do you think I actually achieved the goals that I was setting out for here? Because to be honest with you, I'm not exactly convinced. I think that this rework idea is a little all over the place. And I'm afraid that Sombra is either going to feel bad or feel clunky. Because, you know, maybe she'll virus to get into, like, virus nothing to get into her stealth. You know, I don't want her to just be wasting abilities on nothing just to set her stealth up or to set something else up. Like, I would want there to at least be, like, another reason you're using it, right? Think about Juno Ring. She'll use it for herself, but she'll want to throw it at her team so that they can get value out of it, or she'll throw it where she's going to get extra value out of it either, right? I think that there's some potential where, you know, just you have to throw virus only, like, solely to get into stealth. Maybe you try to do a hack, and that's the only thing that puts you in the stealth, something like that. So, yeah, I don't know. I think there is some room to grow here. And again, I'd love to hear what you guys think in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like and subscribe while you're at it. This was originally streamed live at twitch.tv/LaneHemingway. That's Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. I always am talking about something when I go live. If you have a rework idea of your own, if you have a replay code you want me to look at, give you some free coaching, or just like a hot take or something, join my Discord. It is down in the description below. Thank you guys so much for all the support on this channel. I really wanted to bring these series back in some form or fashion, because this is kind of where I started this channel, with these rework ideas, and it gets hard once you do more and more. You run out of characters to change, and sometimes you just don't have great ideas. And honestly, I didn't have a great idea for Sombra for a very, very long time, until I kind of whipped this up in my head, and and I think that's a decent idea. I think there is something to actually work with here. So thank you guys so much for watching. Have a good day.